This is a very deep topic to actually jump into, especially when Champions Select started. But the thing is they respect the authority. They also make sure that they're all on the same page. And SKT, they have had their troubles. You know, it hasn't been an immaculate season for them. They even struggled to get here and did off of points because they made it so far in spring. It's been rough for them. Blank has had a lot of issues, but the team has actually believed in him. A lot of people have been like, hey, where's Bengi? Even at MSI, Blank underperforming. Hey, where's Bengi? They believe in this guy. They set him up for success. He played the Lee Sin earlier and he had a monster game. It's because the team believes that he's put in so much practice time and he has the mechanics that it's just a bad game.
Well, see if he does it again here. SKT Aime out in the Champ Selects for our fourth game of the day. Alistar and Aurelion Sol banned away from SK Telecom. Aime selecting Rise and Nidalee as their first few bans. So very standard so far. And like we said, mistakes in draft can really cost you in these single games, as Vlad will be the final ban from SKT.
That's super good from SKT because you force the Cinder ban 100%.
There it is.
Because those are the mid-matchup counters. You ban that Vlad, have to ban the Syndra.
Now, Syndra being banned, yes, as a necessity, doesn't leave open a lot of mid-lane champions. Rise, of course, gone with it, so that's 4 taken off the board. You wouldn't actually even expect a mid-lane pick here, however, as you don't see it in the first rotation. I was expecting perhaps jungle, but they seem to have a strategy here, SKT in place.
Yeah, you don't have to pick a jungler this early when they are all up, save for Nidalee. And in terms of mid-laners, well, Cassiopeia is still on the table. You still have a couple of other things like the Varus that Athena absolutely loves. And even Victor has been making an appearance in this group and in the previous group we saw yesterday. And
Athena does have a mean Victor if he looks to bring that one about. Of course, the Korean teams have been playing a whole lot of it. Would not be surprised, honestly, to see it taken away or a champion that can deal with it effectively locked in.
Well, it's a mid-heavy focus in these bans. So Caitlyn's actually a curious first pick from SK Telecom. Aime, though, we'll see where they want to go with their next few picks. Currently hovering Cassiopeia and Jhin. But plenty of other things to look at here. 10 seconds left to lock the picks in, and they will decide on those two. And Blake insta-locks Olaf.
Yeah, Blank definitely ready to go. There's no mobility to really be seen from the carries of Aime now with the Cassiopeia and a Jhin. Olaf's going to have a Karma with him, which was conveniently locked at the same time. So not only do they get an oppressive 2v2, they get a really good option to kill the backline by speeding up the Olaf.
Exactly. The Olaf will be able to dive in. The Cassiopeia won't mean too much for him, but also it's a very bully-centric bottom lane here. It's not the Zyra, but if that Karma is going to Wolf, it is a Caitlyn Karma lane, incredibly punishing, and you may have to pick up a ranged support here to try and match, or you just go the opposite direction for Aime and you try to go for the team fight.
Yeah, I would expect a Nami perhaps if they want to sustain through the lane, just scale up a little bit more. That speaks towards Aime, but there's also the options, which isn't available this time, of the Alistar, but something similar to that perhaps with the Braum to just try and survive and hold on and have a jungler come in and gank.
Yeah, Tom Kench has been absolutely very effective, but we were talking about Road. Very predictable in the pick ban phase that he loves that Bard. If he does pick it up here, it's another ranged support just to try and keep that matchup alive in the bot lane.
Well, he is going to take it, but Kha'Zix actually will be the jungler for a Voidless. This was something in the LPL that Clearlove was famous for. A Voidless going to see if he can't channel the legend himself.
Of course, has played a lot against EDG, knows all of the Kha'Zix strategies. One big thing you have to remember when you watch a Kha'Zix play in competitive League of Legends is objective control. They look towards neutral objectives in particular, so the Drake and the Baron, rushing it at 20 minutes is a viable strategy when there's a Kha'Zix.
Yeah, also against the Olaf loves to dive into that backline, but he's usually alone because he doesn't have a dive buddy on this squad just yet, and it is a ranged support that SKT currently have unless that Karma is flexed. So Kha'Zix does a ton of damage to the Olaf as he Ragnaroks in, and he tries to dive that backline because he's isolated almost every single time.
I think Bang's having some fun. We'll see what SK Telecom have lined up here for these last few picks. Duke has seen lots of success on Jace, so that could be a pick that SKT still decide to go to, but it might be that Karma Flex that you mentioned. Lots of poke potentially as they are going to lock in Varus and Jace. That's huge amounts of poke, so double pivots almost in the back end of the draft.
Yeah, I was originally going to say the Caitlyn first pick's curious because I was expecting something like the Jhin. They could maybe go towards a composition with poke like their last game, but they picked the Jhin away and they get the Varus instead.
Yeah, right here, if you're Aime, you're probably going, hey, Poppy top, stack armor, 100%, so much physical damage on the enemy team that it's between one of those tanks, that or Echo, and you wanted to stack one resistance because SKT are honestly filled to the brink with physical damage.
If I'm choosing between a Popular and Echo, I'm definitely not saying Echo in this game. There's too much to lock you down. You'll never even really get the opportunity if you're next to the Varus to use your ultimate, if he times his well enough and locks you down. So I'd expect a tank. This is a signature pick.
I mean, Tank, we are looking for it. We'll see what Aimee locked down. 10 seconds to decide on this final pick.
And he's going to do it.
Nautilus.
This is the pick that helped Aimee get here in that Game 5 in the regional qualifiers for the LPL. He trusted in it then, and he's going to trust in it now.
This is a very big moment for Aimee actually locking that one in. We said comfort earlier is a big thing for them, and that is exactly that for Amazing J. He didn't have the best performances when you look at his Nautilus in terms of his KDA or his score or even participation in kills until late game, but he still comes up clutch. He's a big part of the team's communication, and will be able to utilize that Nautilus effectively.
And he's quite disruptive. He has an engage option as well. And you look at SKT, it's once again a composition that is incredibly squishy, save for Blank in the jungle. Very reminiscent of the composition that they ran against Cloud9 earlier today. SKT are trying to use their mechanics and their game knowledge to actually run almost a tankless comp.
And I do have to highlight this again, the Nautilus compared to the Echo or Poppy is actually really smart in my opinion because it's guaranteed engage. You're knocking that person up, you can kill them. Really hard to actually catch an Olaf Karma comp when they are that quick, but Nautilus ensures it.
Nautilus was buffed a little while ago, so we'll have to see what Nautilus Ult can do here. SKT, again, you can't help but highlight how precise their comp had to be, and they've got a very similar looking draft, so we'll see if it happens. But don't forget, of course, to vote online for your team. Use the hashtag SKTWin or the hashtag IamWin if you're behind SK Telecom or Aimee. SK Telecom could lock it all up here, be the last Korean seed to go through. One of the tournament favorites, another first seed for the region, or Aimee could continue to play spoiler. They started the day that way. We'll see if they can do it here against a Titan in SKT.
And perhaps bring the third LPL team towards the quarterfinals themselves. This is essentially a battle of brains against brawn. When you look at how both of these teams play, SKT disciplined, elegant in the way they were executing their composition. Aimee, they are brute force heavy. They do have a high mechanical ceiling reflected through the champions, but they're just going to run at you.
Scrappy, chaotic, fun. These are all words people have described Aimee as.
And Aimee, you know, they have fun when they play the game, and they are actually willing to take those risks. And I think that's been something that underdog teams at Worlds have absolutely done, is go to what is comfortable with them, even if it doesn't seem to be the meta. The Nautilus, the Kha'Zix here for a Voidless, it's just like picking a brand for Lecrit, right? Stay with comfort. There's been success with it. Other teams don't always know how to deal with it because it's a little bit out of the ordinary, but I want to see how this works out, especially for a Voidless in that jungle, because his clear is going to be a little rough.
I was just looking, where would Kha'Zix gank, do you think, right? It's going to be pretty easy against a carry top laner with a Nautilus that can lock him down. One of the other cool things, though, that I'd like to highlight is Cassiopeia, because you can ground them with the W. There's no way to flash away from a Kha'Zix if he gets a flank or gets into the middle lane. Of course, many avenues of attack, many choke points to hit from, and you can actually burst out Faker before he can flash away.
I think that almost every lane, save for the bottom, is a great place to go for Aimee. A Voidless just needs to stay okay in the jungle because the Olaf has some very different routes. He can start out his blue, he can go for an invade, he can actually try to pick you off, and that's what Aimee are actually planning for, and that's why they're starting on their red buff here.
And we'll see what SKT can do, because this team has been two strong solo laners, a defensive bottom lane that are very good in mid to late game, particularly when team fighting, and a jungle that's been a little hot and cold. Blank has been rather hot, especially this week, or today, I suppose. Definitely looking better than last week, but many questions here. We'll see if he answers a few more, but this lane is impressive, and we're starting to see so much more Caitlyn. Mid laners are getting banned everywhere. Nobody wants to play against these top tier mid laners, and Caitlyn's starting to seep through in the bottom lane, and even Jing with his long range is struggling to contend.
Yeah, she's even seeing a lot of bans because of the fact that 615 dropped, and lane phase is pretty much what the game is all about. Getting that pressure and having a winning / shoving lane early is so hard to get. Outside of Caitlyn, you really want that pick for yourself, and it's very highly valued because of it.
Yeah, now it is an oppressive lane. They will have level advantages, so completely stuck under the turret. Aimee trying to bounce it back perhaps after this one to get a reset, so they might have a chance of fighting. But they are still comfortable champions for the comfortable players that are just doing their best to scale.
And right here you can see Blank goes for the invade, wards over. Oh, absolutely avoided there, but then you see Voidless catches him out. Blank
There's a
caught.
collapse.
Has to actually burn the ghost.
Oh,
Great
nice
juke
dodge.
out of the cube, but the
nice dodge.
juked out as well. Blank outplays everything, takes damage on the back from Jin, but easy as you like from Olaf with only Ghost.
There's been a lot of criticism towards Blank coming into the tournament and even week 1, but week 2 seems to be his week so far.
No one has ever criticized his mechanics though, really. He's always had that ceiling as a player, and I like that he is starting to show it off a bit.
The happy feet there, of course. The first time he jukes it, fair enough. The second time, like, are they going to aim for it? But there was no third, of course. But it was still an early collapse from IMA, of course, in their own jungle. So rightly so, they get there early, but still very well executed from Blank. And the rest of SKT's bottom lane do get there.
Yeah, and the big question is what ends up getting traded there, because it's a summoner spell for Jin Zhao's CS deficit, because he had to go help. Caitlyn continued to push and push some into the turret. So you can see Bang already ahead, 15 minions.
Probably not getting any better, unfortunately, as Wolf continues to throw poke into the backline. Nice stun from Road. Gonna follow up there with a bit of extra, but Bang happy to use the Q. Minion advantage heavily in favor of SKT's pushing lane. Blank's going to go ahead and take that left side Scuttle Crab away, and Avoidless, who's trying to take some back and challenge Olaf in the jungle, has just fallen a bit behind from that early invade despite no counter jungling. And Avoidless trying to get aggressive could cost him. He's going to fall back into his own jungle, try and farm it out now.
Yeah, this does still feel like SKT are playing their style of League of Legends. They're not being forced into any awkward positions. Bots pushing. Top lane is still doing well in the carry versus tank lane. Faker's doing his part. He's just going to scale up, maybe get the tier build, and then just continue to fire arrows out from long range. And Blank is invading and keeping Avoidless away from upsetting all of this natural progression of SKT's lanes.
You can see top lane teleports were burnt there as well. Double Dorans for both of them, actually. Rings there for Amazing J, and Blades for Duke. There was an extra longsword versus cloth armor. Athena, damage onto Faker, but Varus can play awfully safe in any lane. If Cassio gets a nuke, could be troublesome, and no cleanse for Faker could prove to be problematic as well once Cassio has the ulti.
Yeah, the cleanse will hurt, but Nautilus knock-up something you can't cleanse.
True.
Bard ultimate also something you can't cleanse. I understand that he's gone for the Ghost to try and outplay a lot of the spells, and very mechanically gifted if you didn't know Faker. Can
Pretty
probably
good.
dodge skill shots better with Ghost.
I mean, if Blank can, surely Faker can.
Speaking of dodging skill shots in the bottom lane, though, it's just been an absolute punish from Bang and Wolf with this lane. Athena, early cleanse there.
Flash as well. That's all the summoners gone from Cassio. Nice bit of pressure there from Blank. Faker almost out of mana. Does want to go back, so we'll be able to shove this back out here thanks to Blank sticking around the mid lane and being annoying. Wolf's going to try and check something out as well. Will be blocked by Roe, but Avoidless is just constantly back in his side of the jungle, worrying if anyone else is coming to visit as well.
Yeah, very slow stuff now, though, from SKT. They haven't continued too much pressure. They're waiting for a gank, and they want Athena here.
Going in for it again. Faker a little low. Forced to flash up. Blank's actually collapsing, but Rhodes here with Wolf and Avoidless in the back. But Athena's a little too low. Damage not quite there, but it is enough from Blank as Olaf will collect first blood.
Yeah, they knew that Athena had blown both his cleanse and his flash, and what it looked like in the previous gank was that he thought he had Ghost. Because he popped it, there was no CC on him previously, and so he had to flash immediately afterwards, and that cost him because now he doesn't have those spells to chase down Faker.
That's right, completely out of mana, and Road tries his best to get in, but Avoidless also too slow. One step ahead every single time. Blank at the moment. This is a reinvigorated jungler.
Nice play there from Faker as well, being very dangerous, but knew he had backup. I may do the right thing and get there, but they get there late, which will cost them the first blood onto a jungler that's starting to really snowball a bit here. Cooldown boots already done for Blank. Road is busy collecting mid lane CS, and level 6s have been hit a little earlier from SKT as Avoidless going to clean out what he can, takes a pink ward out of his own jungle.
Yeah, level 6 very important for the Kha'Zix, so as soon as Avoidless hits that, his gank options will just open very widely. Right now, it's a little bit riskier to do so. He's not quite a level 6 jungler, but you can definitely treat him like one.
Duke is going to slap some CS down. He has got an advantage in this lane, which I think is expected. Jace, a very good laner, and Duke has been consistently strong 1v1 on most champions, so Jace certainly been something he's shown up with on the world stage. Faker with a tier now after that back, and a longsword and some boots, plus that pink will collect his blue buff. And Athena's full up now as well, going to be charging his tier on the other side, but with no summoners, he has to play back, especially now that Faker has ultimate in. Faker with blue is just going to make this very tricky.
Yeah, of course, both mid laners could have blue, but Faker would have an advantage in that situation, having a longer range, needing the cooldown reduction, mana regeneration. They're both tier stackers, but the Varus, I would say, gets an immediate advantage just by having the blue, because he does outrange, and it's a soft counter map.
When trading though, Road actually went pretty deep to try and get a ward into the Tribush and did make it out with the magical journey. CS looking great for Bang though. 70 to 46 in that bottom lane, 61 to 50 in the top lane, and Faker not quite out in front in the mid lane, but very safe and could maybe bully if additional pressure is coming in. We talked about this 2v2 being rough. There's been almost no pressure here apart from maybe jungle invades, which certainly does help out, and Bang is taking over BF Sword Dagger versus just a serrated Dirk and that Doran's.
The scary thing to me as well, we know Road doesn't like to stay in lane. He always wants to disappear. He basically is barred as a player. So it's not a surprise that he's gone, but this is also an impressive bottom lane 2v2 as Blank.
That's keen.
Got the ghost.
That's how you go.
Wolf gets Thunderlords up though. Road doing decent damage. There's other side, so going to try and get that vision down. Make sure SKT can't get him for free. And Athena now is going to get that blue buff, but that'll give Faker a bit of pushing time on that mid lane. So should just continue to see it farmed out now.
Voidless actually got it.
Big mistake. But yeah, once again, the Caitlyn Karma going to push in. They'll get that turret eventually just from naturally pushing. Jin Zhao will fall further and further behind the more that Road isn't there. And at this stage, even when he joins them, they both just struggle.
Well, you can see Athena actually with Blank here. Good cleanse this time, gets off the ultimate, but Blank going to slow him down. There's the arrow in. Athena knows he has to go all in, but he can't really do much. Dodges the first stack, but Faker jukes out of that ulti, and Blank gets himself another kill.
Faker ducks back again, had the poke down, and Athena, no flash just yet either. Cleanse had just come back up.
But quite simply just using range to an advantage. Watch the way that Faker always positions himself just outside of the Q firstly, and then the ultimate, just constantly standing back. Knows the Blank will do enough work, and he can't be stunned, so Cassiopeia will not ult him.
Infernal Drake doing damage to Blank as he popped back into live. SKT are trying to take this down, but avoid this actually pretty close in the area. Faker going to get jumped on. Blank actually the target. Not going to go down. The Dragon's going to get the kill. So a trade happens. But this time, Faker's got a kill.
Yeah, no isolation damage there from a Voidless. He evolved the Q first, but because of the fact that Faker was right next to him, enough damage to return it. So good sense there from SKT to pull off of the Infernal Drake.
I mean, the Drake was the real MVP there, though.
Yeah.
Huge amount of damage as Amazing J and Duke actually trading back. Duke out of mana, so probably time to go back home. We'll see if he wants to teleport up to the top lane. But you can see Nautilus can get trades in here and there, but Amazing J still a little behind. I thought for sure he was going to go for something crazy, but not just yet. Duke's going to get that recall cancelled. Amazing J will play up as we'll watch this one again.
Yeah, so I think Faker even being next to him stops any isolation damage when Blank comes back. So what could have been an instant kill was very close. And Infernal Drake says, no, you can have it.
Picks up another. So yeah, they get the return kill, the counter kill there. But it's just a problem that Faker with the tier is now 1-0 and 2 and already doing well. And
Duke actually already getting blown up here. Avoid this with the damage as Amazing J gets one. Blank gonna chase him down, and Ragnarok as Amazing J flashes into the brush, but Blank on a rampage going crazy. Gonna find Voidless, but Blank in time for all that. Voidless does get the kill in the end.
Even with the W missing from a Voidless, such a clutch play to actually get out even alive. Really close, could have gone either way. Just got the extra auto attack off. Surprising, given Olaf's attack speed.
Oh, Jin Zhao, bad news. Bears has to flush out of Ace in the whole range.
He doesn't have enough mana to actually use the ultimate, sitting at 24. This here, though, complete bait from Amazing J. Duke, though, swaps to Hammer stance and had Blank coming in. They pick up Duke rather quickly, but because of Blank already being at like 2 kills before this, now he's at 3. Just so much damage. W dodged, but he's taking some minion aggro.
And see the difference
just
here,
enough, barely.
Because Olaf has no health, he should have stood still and just autoed.
Yeah.
Like the attack speed bonus that he'd have from being that low would probably have been enough.
Well, it wasn't in the end. Avoidless does get away with a trade in top lane, but SK Telecom up almost 2,000 gold, and that bottom lane, we keep ducking back in there. It's just going from bad to worse. Bang is so far ahead on CS, up pretty much 30, and that tower's almost gone down naturally as well. Road's going to find him. Bang's going to start shooting him once it wears off. Avoidless going to try and turn it around, but Bang, he knows much better than that.
Yeah, it'd be very silly to try and take the fight if you don't know where anybody is. Of course, the Voidless walking through the river doesn't actually get spotted. I believe that's just the Scuttle Crab that you can walk around. No, that's a word. They saw him.
Well, we're going to start the Infernal anyway, because I'm a team that do like to be a little unpredictable, but SKT not quite here to contest.
Oh, they know that Olaf is most likely on the top side of the map.
Teleports are in.
There's the TP. Avoidless is taking so much damage from this Wolf.
Yeah, Infernal Drake again is doing damage.
Whoa.
That's a lot of damage. Duke snipes him as he's going to go over. Wolf does get stunned as he goes through the portal, but Blank cleans up the Infernal on the other end. SK Telecom, no more kills to speak of, but Avoiders are way too squishy there.
Yeah, it feels like a massive miscommunication from Aime as well. Amazing J just stays top. He wants to get damage onto the turret. Committing to the Infernal Drake is a massive risk. Yes, you have a Kha'Zix composition that can destroy neutral objectives, but there's just no way for you to fight this when they have a ward on it, and you saw them ward it, yet they stay around to commit.
Yep, Road right here. Avoidless doesn't take the magical journey as well.
He does get smacked here, though.
Gets hit by the ultimate and hit by the shock
There's an axe
blast.
coming too, just in case.
Ugh, just in case, yeah. Doesn't take the magical journey, and that's kind of his undoing there. He had leap as well.
One Faker.
But didn't want to risk it.
Amazing J looking for someone. Faker with flash does
Yes,
commit
flash.
it. Amazing J, no vision. Can't finish the ulti as Bang nets his way out of the cone of curtain call. And once again, SKT dissipate a situation effortlessly as I may try and pressure, and it's just keeps putting him in an awkward spot. Bang's even counter jungling, because why not?
I mean, if they knew he was there, there's a chance they take out Bang. He doesn't have any mana, but will now. It's very aggressive.
Oh, gank onto Duke.
Not bad there with the ulti from Nautilus. Amazing J follows in. Good stun from Royd. Avoidless piles in as well. Duke heading it out. The hook does not land. And Avoidless almost goes down to the turret. But a kill for Aime nonetheless.
Duke does so much damage right now. Almost took out Avoidless underneath the turret, and then the extra tower shot comes through. That point, oh, you're clenching if you're Avoidless, but they're going to give up this mid turret.
Exactly. There's still such an easy trade for SKT. They commit top lane. They're not going to get any damage on it. There isn't enough minions to commit towards the objective. SKT, they can just take the objective down, grow the lead a little bit more, and it's just very calm and measured play from them. Reacting this time, though, to Aime.
Yeah, and you can see they gave solo turret gold to Faker, so now both Faker and Bang are 1,600 gold up over their lane opponent.
Yeah, I believe Bang collected that bottom out of first as well. So 2 turrets already for SK Telecom. That bottom one, again, naturally being taken really by the pressure. Bang and Wolf were able to put out 2v2. Bang is still up 30 CS, just went back to finish that Infinity Edge. We have a Ghost Blade for Faker, a Black Cleaver for Duke that almost got him a trade in that 3v1 turret dive in top lane. SK Telecom, gold lead sitting at almost 4,000 gold, which is pretty good at 15 minutes, but the item advantage they have right now is just insane, and this is a team that will snowball out of control. Bang already starting to rotate top lane.
Yeah, it's a great rotation here as well. You bring your AD carry from the bottom lane. Your mid lane already got taken. Take that last outer turret and start taking control of the jungle, and SKT are just going step by step through this game.
But it really is that clinical, right? The item spike that you mentioned, Pastry, and then they just go to the opposite side of the map, take the turrets down. If they want to stop this from happening, Aime, they need to use their high mechanical ceiling champions, make big plays, and try and outplay SKT, because the items they have is just far too dangerous.
And another note as well that I want to talk about on those items is Duke in the top lane, the Black Cleaver. Some people were talking about how Black Cleaver first on Jace is a little strange compared to a Youmuu's. Well, he's up against a tank, so Black Cleaver is just way more gold efficient for him. And the fact that his team is all physical damage, he's got to buy it sometime. So the fact that he starts building it early is good, because just in case SKT get behind, then you're not completely out of the game, and the Nautilus hasn't just armor stacked and gotten out of control. So it's insurance, but it's also a really good item to buy if your team is full of physical damage.
Continue pressure here actually with SKT in the jungle. Blank a little too far forward. Gonna pop the ultimate, but ulti not even gonna cancel through Ragnarok as Royd might go down to the Karma. Heal on the other end there. It's Amazing J goes through the portal as well, but Blank not done yet. Avoidless chunked out by Faker's arrows. It's just getting so unsafe. Ulti's gonna hit, Bang takes the top outer, and SK Telecom is set up a very brutal siege.
Yeah,
Watch out for Duke.
so that one misses. This siege composition, however, does have a wave of minions. This is the top lane inner turret at 16 minutes that they are looking towards. The only unfortunate thing now is that Faker doesn't have his ultimate available, or they could threaten further.
And we talk about how poke compositions, when they reach that mid game, they start to lose a little bit of steam, or that late game, it's like, oh, there's so many stats and resistances on the enemy team. Well, SKT, they're trying to keep the tempo up so high right now that you can't catch up to them, and it is just an incredibly oppressive composition to play against, and you feel like you can't do much against it, because if you hard engage, you're at a stat deficit, and they're just trying to make that even worse here by trying to pick up a Rift Herald. Amazing J walks around the corner, but
Got Wolf, gets Bang as well with the ultimate. Jin ultimate's gonna open in as Avoidless takes out Blank. Wolf forced to flash away, but can they snipe it out? Last bullet's gonna miss. And that one hits the blue buff, so SK Telecom only one as Blank goes down.
That was the weirdest interaction I think I've ever seen, but he did connect it, got a 3-person knock-up as well afterwards. An Amazing J and his signature champion kicks off the fight the right way to unlock all of the isolated damage that can follow.
that was the weirdest thing I've seen from a Nautilus. Actually, no, it's not. I've seen a lot of weird things. He's had some visual bugs before, but that was Thresh levels of facing one direction and throwing the hook the other and faking it. And I don't believe Nautilus is actually coded to have it that way, so unsure of how it looked to the other guys, but it was definitely taking everybody off guard there.
Let's watch it again then.
Yeah.
Because SKT get a little greedy on the Rift Herald here.
Amazing J's like, I'm going backwards. No, I'm not. Pump fakes. Actually gets them all, and Avoidless, of course, isolating one target there because of the knockups. Means that he wasn't able to walk away. and they get the kill.
SKT being taken down in this right side river as well as Mountain Drake will be up in 20 seconds. Bang getting stronger as he has added a Zeal to his inventory, and Gold lead closed out a little bit there from Aime's kill, but SKT still well up as they are looking to continue their clinical snowballing of this game. They'll look at that Mountain Drake. It'll be great for the Siege comp they built for themselves, and we'll see if Aime can challenge for it. They should have most of their abilities all ready to go, and they're on the area trying to contest.
Yeah, getting there first is always going to be important, so being in the river means they can at least establish a start. And they just need to try and find where SKT are. I don't think that Aime will be confident enough to actually kick off the Drake by any means. SKT well and truly in the driver's seat. It's on them to do it, but the onus is on Aime to prevent it if they put enough value onto the Mountain Drake, which is important.
They're in an interesting situation as well because Duke is shoving that top wave as Jace. And now he's going to back and actually maybe just walk to that Drake as they start it so that he may not have to use his teleport to actually match, and Amazing J would have to TP into the fight if he wants it.
It's a good time to remind everyone how open the map is for SK Telecom. It's 3 turrets to nothing with the top tier 2 also taking some damage. So Aime just don't really have a whole lot of wiggle room to work with here. And SK Telecom pretty cleanly take out that Mountain Drake again. Good vision, good map control, and an ace in the hole to boot.
Yeah, you're talking about how the map is so wide open for SK Telecom. It's so easy to shove things to the tier 2 turret, and then that's 15 seconds that I may have to deal with minions before they can actually group up and come over to where you are. So they use that, they push in the top wave, they push in the bottom wave, and they actually can just get wave control all throughout. Now they're invading the jungle.
I mean, they've just repeat occurrences now going into the jungle. Blank goes first. He can never get one hit by the Kha'Zix. They push the Kha'Zix out. Doesn't get the red.
Yeah, looks like Blank did smite it away, so keeps it out of the Caitlyn's hands, I guess. But Faker's having a fun old time here in mid lane, just shooting arrows into poor Athena. I mean, Athena's used to doing this to Faker, but not this time. Bottle finds 2. Great chain of corruption from Faker. Might disengage, but Wolf is going to get knocked off. Bang hits in as well. Athena, he's in the back as Wolf goes down, but Bank's the target. Faker takes out Rover, the snipes down, and they get a couple. Aime, 2 for 1 so far, but they do have to be careful. Faker looking to line it up and barely misses a Voidless. Duke gets the poke into the other side as Amazing J's trying to soak for his team.
Oh,
Big fight as Faker gets caught. He's going to go down. They managed to take him as Jin Zhao gets another. Aime up 3-1.
It's so cooldown reliant for Aime. They need the first engage to work. They do get kills, and that's incredibly well done from them. And they juke everything when running back. That's the danger of SKT's composition. They can poke you with the Varus, with the Jace, and hit you constantly with the Caitlyn. But this engage was great. It unlocks the Cassiopeia. She just hails Twin Fang.
Oh, this is absolutely disgusting. Ultimate comes out. Athena, he doesn't even cleanse this right here. Amazing J, 2 seconds done on everybody. Grounded comes down there. Bang, can't flash off of it in that moment. He has to get out of the grounded first, but he's rooted on top of it because of Amazing J. And then the re-engage here, Faker gets pulled and rooted from the corner from Amazing J on this Nautilus.
The kind of thing you'd never really expect.
Right on the grounded too, he can't flash away in that small second.
Such a thin area of wall that you don't expect to be able to be hooked behind it, but definitely can. Nautilus things.
Nice little abusive terrain there from Amazing Joe, who is showing up on a pick he is famous for. Aime again keeping the gold a little more balanced now, only 4,000 gold down, still struggling versus the poke composition. And we have talked about how good poke is when you're ahead. When you get caught though, poke tends to be bad no matter what. Because if you can't poke them from afar, your comp's really not doing what it's supposed to.
Exactly, and then if Amazing J can just stand in front of Shock Blasts, pop his W, he has enough resistances to actually just keep doing that. And you can see right now, it looks like he's working towards a Frozen Heart. So that's going to be really bad for SK Telecom as that continues if Amazing J gets to those breakpoints.
Full credit to SKT as well, because they played a similar looking comp versus Cloud9, had a much less explosive early game, and were still able to play team fights very well despite all the engage. So they have navigated these situations, but Aime are a team that when they commit, they're just going all in.
Yeah, the SK Telecom, like a little caveat there, is this team is about poking, whereas the previous one was about disengage and making sure that it was very hard to get in on them. Whereas this one, not as much disengage in this lineup here. Whereas Aime, they actually have a bit of counter engage and hard engage themselves. They have a mix of both. They like to kite backwards, but they also can go forward and dive you.
Again, this is why we call it effectively the Brains versus Brawn matchup. When you look at both of these teams and the drafts behind it, SKT, they don't want to actually go all in on you unless you are low enough that they will get the objective or they'll actually just get free kills for it. IMA just want to go. If they find an opportunity to hit a Nautilus hook on a target that is really important, if it's the Varus or the Caitlyn, even Duke at this stage is worth getting, then they will follow that up with everything.
Yeah, and everything right now is a 4-2-1 Kha'Zix because of Voidless. That is so much damage out of a Kha'Zix so early against squishies. And almost every AD carry knows the nightmare of a fed Kha'Zix that starts getting off the ground and hitting those break points.
Got good follow-up there. So you just saw how many different ults they could combo in between Cassio, Nautilus, Jin's utility, and Bards. IM certainly have the tools to get stuff done, but SKT are going to continue resetting their lanes. Things have calmed down a bit now. There's a Drake up in a minute 50. Ocean Drake would be nice for SKT, who already have a Mountain and an Infernal. But Duke busy trimming sideways. Faker's going to go play side lane duty as well, as Bang going to gatekeep this mid-outer for as long as he can. And as long as the game kind of stays at this pace, this is where SK Telecom want to be. And just don't base check the Nautilus and things should be okay.
Yeah, and don't let them have the flank wards to get the teleport behind you to get the Nautilus engage as well. It starts with that vision. The setup is always going to be there. The slower the game goes, the better that SKT are. Such a disciplined side is what we're seeing from them today in all of this group action.
Well, see if IM can crack it. SKT also have the safety of their outers to still play to. Don't forget that no touch for IMA means that all the playmaking in the world isn't going to be too much help if you can't find a way in to actually start and engage. Baron is also a consideration. Teams have quite a lot of damage on either side, and 25 minutes in might seem a little early, but it is a potential option here. As Bang looks like he'll go back. He's got his Hurricane finished already, working on that third item. On the other side, though, Jinjiao, 2 items done for him. Athena does have that Rylai's, which will help. And a Black Cleaver for Voidless. I like it after the Warrior skirmishes.
Yeah, there's a few power spikes here for IMA. And this next Ocean Drake, SKT have to play this fight very well, because if they don't, it could be the game snowballing and rubber banding back against them.
That's the interesting thing. It's a Nautilus that can kill you when you're at the objective. It's really easy for a Cassiopeia to line up an ultimate if you're fighting within the Drake area. I think what SKT actually want to do is put vision further forward. You can see where they're placing it now, establishing areas that I may have to walk through to get to the Drake and the river so that they can poke out the carries and prevent them from even saying that we can fight.
But then the other thing is the poke. It's only Faker right now, and he is doing a good job against Road, but Duke is shoving out the top wave, trying to get pressure there, and that's been the Jace's job so far this game, is apply pressure on the map that needs to be answered for the possible teleport so they don't have to tank there. And SKT, they're just going to pick this up. Really well done.
Easy as you like there for that third Drake for SKT. They'll get the variety bucket in there, as the Ocean will be added to their tally. The next one will be a Mountain. And it may have one more after that, but you can see just how controlled this team is. Even after things went a little wrong, they maybe overreached looking for tier 2s in mid lane and got a little punished for it. SKT still know, find the objectives, poke out Athena, and continue as normal.
Yeah, so they're trying to actually engage on him there with Faker's ultimate. Kha'Zix just revealed himself farming on the bottom side of the map, even used his jump to get down there. So definitely a vulnerable target was what was left in the middle lane for IMA. Thankfully for them, they don't actually get the Chains of Corruption hitting. They can see another day.
Not a whole lot going on as far as hard engage, either for SKT. They've kind of just got Faker's ulti and a whole lot of poke. So Duke going to continue pushing in. Again, SK Telecom will happy to play in 3 lanes for as long as possible. They kind of have 380 carries, so the more farm they can get, the better they're going to feel, and they've got good control around the Baron area as well.
Yeah, all of their pink ward visions actually moved up besides the one at their red buff towards the Baron. They'll probably reset one more time with those next recalls. They even have 2 pinks now to place. This is complete control of the area where they pressure IMA to have to walk into things.
Right now, again, it's just controlled from SKT, and IMA have kind of let SKT dictate to them. They've only found plays when they've been able to be reactive, which is not really where they want to be. They kind of have to weather the goal difference for a little longer. But SKT, again, just such a disciplined side.
Yeah, I feel like IMA are completely fine with slowing the pace of the game down. We have known them to be a very reckless team, but it seems like they're being a little bit more calculated here, and that they're actually saying, all right, we scale, don't worry. All we have to do is stack armor, let Amazing J get to 3 armor items. It's going to be almost impossible to kill. And then go from there.
Looking like it as well. Randuin's and the Sunfire are also done, so holding his own, or more than holding his own even, against Duke, despite their more Malmortius Black Cleaver and the Last Whisper, which is all of the armor pen he could ever want.
But forcing a Last Whisper out of the Jace as well so that he can still do damage, perhaps be a split pushing threat or have relevance in these team fights, means that he doesn't have as much raw AD. At the very least, won't be doing as much damage to structures. It's also not going to be enough to really dissuade Amazing J from being able to split push. He has so much health and armor.
Ace in the hole burnt there in mid lane, trying to poke out Athena, but not doing too much damage just yet is Bang. His autos look good. He's got rapid fire cannon now finished, but it feels like forever that SK Telecom have even hit a turret in the tier 2 section, and I'm happy to again hide it out because this is what happens.
Ooh.
Faker forced to flash out of the Bard ult, and a hook barely misses onto Blank.
This is really good for IMA because SKT now, they have to worry because Faker's summoner spells, both of them are down. He blew both Ghost and Flash. So, next Bard ultimate that comes around, if you can nail Faker with it, that's your engage right there. Whereas SKT, well, they've been going back and forth between Baron and mid lane, trying to get control and trying to have this poke land. It's landed a little bit on the road in Athena, but I may have actually stood strong. And here's the point where Athena's been poked out, and Jin Zhao, he's backing right now.
And again, a fundamental thing I do have to bring up, don't stand in between the turret and the wall.
Yeah.
You're a Cassiopeia, you're going to take a lot of damage. They have a lot of line-based damage as well. If you put yourself in a small area, you're probably going to get hit by it.
We saw Amazing J actually was able to use terrain to his advantage, so fun tip for everyone back home. Athena, though, able to get back safely. Once again, I may push SK Telecom off of their mid-tier 2, but SKT this time, despite Faker's lack of summoners, do not get punished for it. So still up in the lead here, but this gold lead has been fairly static. About 5,000 up for SKT, but it feels like it's held for at least 10, maybe 15 minutes. I am also going to clear out vision around the Baron, which means SKT, who do want the next mountain, although it's not up for a few more minutes, have to kind of run back there and worry about that major objective. And it does feel like 30 minutes into the game, SKT have slowed things down maybe a bit too much, and IMA could find an opening.
Yeah, that's the big thing here. You see Amazing J back, picks himself up a Chain Vest, maybe Thornmail in the works for him coming up, which would be a big buy against this team because a lot of them want to auto-attack you, especially that Caitlyn, who's almost purely auto-attack based in the mid-game.
I mean, even the Varus going for the Bloodthirster wants to intertwine his auto attacks, naturally having the upgraded item as well, Manamute.
You can usually tell if the Varus is going to go for more poke-based or if he's going to get those autos weaving in or woven in, because the difference between Death's Dance and the Bloodthirster.
And again, important to reiterate, IMA still don't have a turret on the map. They're also down 3 Drakes, which is a lot, but they've stalled this game out very effectively, and it's hard to say if it's SK Telecom happy to play at that pace or IMA just making them a little scared.
And that's really good by IMA because you have to seed objectives to this type of composition early on. If you fight them too much early, the game can snowball out of control. It got to a 5,000 gold lead for SKT, but it hasn't gotten any larger in the past, I want to say 10 minutes at this point.
Well,
Because IMA playing slow.
Poke battle continues, but IMA, they do like to play slow. It's tough to contend with the late game of a team like SKT, but if we get there, and at this pace, it does feel like we will. IMA again just playing around, making sure they sweep out the major objective vision. Duke still in the side lanes, having the time of his life, farming up a Storm. Amazing J still behind 30 CS, but has got a decent amount of gold. Jinzhao also looking for that third item, so carries are a little behind on the side of IM, but they'll get there eventually, and with the way this is going, we might just have one big fight around an objective that could decide the game. And for SK Telecom, I'm not sure that's what they want, given what happened last time.
Exactly. They don't want to have to go through that. It's a little bit too risky, and if you get outplayed by one member...
Good flash, and great cleanse from Athena. Gets him out there.
Yep, gets hit by it. Avoidless, though, sticking around and taking a little bit more poke here. The Mountain Drake is coming up.
Road is
very sneaky. Perhaps too sneaky.
I don't know how you got there, but you don't really want to be there.
Well, he's out, kind
Well,
of.
he's not really.
He's on the wrong side. He's out somewhere. This will be quite the magical journey. Road does get slowed. Faker not going to get him. There's another one, but the tether's still going to land. Road does have to flash now. Part of eats some Coco. He needs to keep running. Bang. He's going to chase for him, but he doesn't have his ulti. Road, you have portal up soon. Bang's here to cut you off at the pass. Road, you need to get out again. No. Coco, Bang going to take him down at the last crit. Oh, it's a disaster.
That's just unfair, really. Why'd he crit? That's not fair. He does manage to go down eventually. It's a really good opportunity for SKT, however, straight to where they have been pretty much the entirety of this mid-game, sieging mid.
Yeah, and this is why they walk straight up here, because a lot of the engage is down, hook onto Blank, and that Bard was a huge part of how they got that first engage when he got 2 people caught in it. And now they get a lot of chip damage on that turret. It is so close to going down, but the Mountain Drake is also on the table, which would once again help SKT in these types of situations to not stick around as long.
And again, really easy for them to work towards. They know Kha'Zix goes top lane. They set up the minion wave there earlier. They're going to go to Drake. You'd expect Duke to go back towards bottom, and then they set up perhaps for the Baron one more time after they get their recalls and their item spikes. The only danger is if they recall, they can just start the Baron on the side of IMA, because once again, it's a Kha'Zix that does a lot of isolated damage. So does Cassiopeia.
Oh, Voidless getting spotted on top of a ward. Bad news bears does clear out the pink though. I think thought about doing the Baron, but decided against it this time.
I was just told a very interesting stat. Athena has actually done less damage than every single member on SKT's composition, including the Karma. And Faker's done 4 times as much damage. That's how much IMA has been in these situations where they're being sieged on. The Cassiopeia can't play to her pattern, which is usually kite back and counter engage.
You can see Duke finally gets a tier 2 for SKT as well, so pressure finally mounting on IMA. They've been defending for so long, and that mid tier 2 is still a big sore thumb sticking out for them. But SKT, they'll now grow the gold lead again. They should have control around the Baron side as well with such a long bottom lane that they'll have to clear out. I mean, IMA, again, they're one good engage perhaps from tipping the game back over. There's so much standing gold for them to take as well, given how many turrets are left on the map. But SKT, if they just want to suffocate you, they're in position to try and do so. And this is a team, again, that does not let their lead slip away from them very often.
And this is the timing to do so. The blue buff's about to be available. Once Varus picks that one up, even Duke, if they give him that opportunity, they can actually poke people out. What I will say, however, is that they're best off sieging, having Jace around if that's their goal. If they want to win team fights behind it, I don't think that Duke can actually just deal with Amazing J. He can just walk up and clear waves now, the Nautilus, and they should never actually have the Jace hitting turrets because he'd be at a risk, he'd be too deep. The SKT should be pressuring the other side of the map near this Baron, and they should actually bring the Jace with them if their goal is to siege and poke. But again, quite content doing nothing.
IMA are actually looking like they want to fight soon. You can see that Jin Zhao, he went for the Serrated Dirk and a BF sword, which will delay his build because he already has a Dusk. So that looks like Infinity Edge / Maw / both, but he just wanted more armor penetration before he started going for that IE. And Amazing J, he was actually swapping between Frozen Heart and Thornmail. Like, which one do I want to buy here? And he went with the Thornmail ultimately, which signals to me that he really wants to find an opportunity to get on the bank, and they're just going for stats now. They want them now on IMA's side.
I think they know that there's likely a Baron fight in their near future.
Oh, there's the TP from behind. Amazing J is looking for a flank onto Faker. They try to get the flash.
Though, and Royd almost died, so commits everything for it. And Athena's caught out of position. Amazing J finds a flank, gets Duke. That could be enough, but Faker's going to clean him up. And that damage, disgusting as Bang takes out Amazing J. Jin Zhao better run because he has to get out of the ulti. And SK Telecom, that's not a tank that I just saw die.
Nope. No, and if the tank dies that easily, they have so much availability to go back towards the Baron, look and set up one more time. Just use Faker. He doesn't even need to hit the Baron necessarily. Just throw Qs out constantly. This is a really good opportunity for them. Voidless too low.
This Baron is going to take too much damage. Voidless has to get in pretty much now. He goes! Oh my god, a Voidless! Leaps over and steals it. Athena ultis them out to disengage the team. And I am hold on to this game.
What more do you want from your jungler? Doesn't matter. Athena, a Voidless, still gets the Baron. This guy's a smite-stealing god. That's filthy.
What have they been beating these guys in the off-week? Everyone's stealing Barons. Let's watch it again.
Yeah, this right here was the setup. The TP comes from behind from Amazing J, but the poke is coming through. Road gets incredibly low. With combination, they're using Caitlyn as part of the poke composition of the siege. Stop them from moving forward a little bit, slow them down. Amazing J gets the hook onto Duke, but then, oh boy, all the crits, all the damage, and he's absolutely decimated so quickly.
Yeah, it doesn't actually look like he's a 3-armor champion, to say the very least. It gets absolutely annihilated.
He's about to be 4. You don't get much tankier than that.
And this makes sense to me, SKT going to Baron. They could have probably sieged mid, but there weren't minions available, so this is the next best move of Voidless, predictably about to go in. Duke's goal was to knock him out by changing the hammer form, but you can't do that when he's invisible jumping, so he gets the smite off.
Really well played there from a Voidless. Ducks through the vision, goes through with the leap. And now they can start getting these turrets. The first one of the game, 37 minutes in for IMA.
I mean, they're a slow team. This is maybe an exaggerated look at how slow IMA can play. Ulti, it's Duke, Amazing J gonna line it up. Duke in a flash, he still gets hooked, not quite through the wall though. Amazing J finds the knockout, gets Bang and Road. Barely gonna miss that double stun. Amazing J now has to book it out, but Athena there to cover for his teammates. Where's the flank from SKT? It's Blank running in with the ultimate, but I am already out through the magical journey.
Yeah, thankfully Bard also gives you the way out that's quite easily accessible. Olaf can't chase you down any further. They do make a mistake by overcommitting there. Unfortunately, the hook doesn't bring him through a wall a second time, and SKT hold on. Just that one turret really gained so far.
Well, Elder up in 50 seconds as well, and that's a mighty, mighty Elder Dragon that SK Telecom's going to try and take here. This finally, they're going to spit on it, and I think it's going to go down, but IMF defended from worse. Doesn't need much. See if they can get in there for one auto, but Cassio's going to clear that down. Jinjao's going to hop in as well. And still standing.
How frustrating as well for SKT. All it takes is a stiff breeze and the whole turret will fall down.
Well, Baron up minions now fighting back. And again, the longer Iron can hold on, the better. Although I think it's now finally going to fall. Bang, he wanted, he ordered it once and it wasn't enough. Gets himself trapped down.
Top though. You have this Jace up here by himself.
There we go.
Top outer's going to go. Top inner to the Jace, and so is the mid.
T2's out as well. That's 6 turrets now for SKT. Looking good as they finally gear it down. Blank actually, no ulti, does get hooked up again, but still ready to go. Bang gets destroyed. Amazing J leaps in there. Avoidless wants him as well, but Blank's kiting him. Bang just kites back and blows one up. Now Athena caught in the front line, pops the Seraphine, needs to keep kiting. Poke is there from SKT, and I am lucky to just lose one.
Yeah, considering this is a Baron buffed IMA, they are on the back foot constantly. SKT now starting to get more and more oppressive. And because the health bars are so low, this defense of this turret, even with the Baron buff, becomes really tough.
I mean, he needs more hit points, but that turret's going to melt under the combined might of SKT. There's Duke with the last auto attack, and finally they bust open the base 40 minutes in.
And now they're going to back off. Mission accomplished right now. They need to reset, because if any of them get picked off or they allow Amazing J to actually flank behind them, then Elder Dragon goes down. This right here from Bang is actually perfect. Blank gets hit. Amazing J has to commit on him. Turns to Bang. Throws out that QSS mid-air flash. You can QSS knockup / stuns, but you have to have that flash mobility spell available, and you get immediately out of it. So Bang knows that and executes on it so that he gets out of that CC from the Nautilus.
Yeah, everything committed towards killing the Caitlyn, but by not killing him, very easy to turn around once more from the side of SKT. There's a lot of carries on that side anyway. Even if Bang went down, I'd warrant that they'd still probably win.
And you saw that Athena doing good damage despite getting jumped on there by the Olaf. He's maybe a void stuff away from taking over that team fight, and that is the next item he has ready to go. Cassio, of course, has a bonus slot, which you cannot buy boots. But SKT now lining up for this Elder Dragon, and they're already maybe too far ahead. I am looking to force again here.
But the thing is, no flash available for a lot of these carries on the side of SKT. Faker the only one with it, so if the Nautilus connects, the follow-up is going to be very dangerous.
Ooh, Faker's also split.
He's trapped, actually. As Iman looking at his lineup, a tower dive road. He's going to go ulti the tower. Faker knows he has to book it. Amazing J, 4 armor items strong, zones him out. Faker just dodges forward. Gets out from under the Bard ultimate, but there's the mid turret finally broken for Aime.
So that was really close. Amazing J was aiming to hit the wall so that he could pop the ultimate, and of course Rhodes still thinking he'd go forward. Again, a miscommunication, mistiming, and now SKT, whilst they lose a turret, have the tempo and the advantage again.
Yeah, and it's so hard for IMA to actually get that tempo and advantage back. Their Baron power play is actually negative 1,500, which is the worst of worlds so far, because SKT, they were so far ahead to begin with, but it's so hard for IMA to actually pull off plays right now. It has to be an absolutely perfect engage, or else it gets turned around with all of the damage.
Probably the biggest wave that I've ever seen starting to mount in top lane, just on the minimap alone. There's a lot of red dots.
It's like the size of the Baron pit.
It's like eating those
like
dots.
Duke has to get red dot syndrome soon.
Well, Elder Dragon's also a thing, so IMA actually a nice little stroke of genius in macro could give them an advantage here.
There is the ward.
Huge, and they're going for it. This Elder Dragon's melting.
Yeah, there's so much damage on this squad. A Voidless, he may have to go for another steal here, but this is also where SKT do not want to be.
They do it again. He's looking for a Voidless. No, not this time. An amazing game goes in. Huge drop from Road, and there's the curtain call lining up. Blank gonna chase in after Athena. Road gets exhausted as a Voidless went straight to the back line. Blown up as Bang will get sniped by the Jhin. 4v3 right now as Blank took out Amazing J in the front line. Athena needs to get in there, but he has to be careful. Finally gets sniped in. Faker flash autos after the Q to take him down. Jinjao's gonna flash the wall, and SKT, they'll chase with their poke. Duke just needs to line up a real good looking shock blast as Road gonna try and save it. There's one. Jinjao almost falls. Oh, through the gate.
Elder
Gets
Dragon.
burnt down by Elder Dragon.
A lot of damage comes out of the Elder Dragon. SKT, by getting the smite, you have to say secure themselves the fight. That was close, and there was a lot of damage coming out of IMA, but a Voidless, he can't do the stroke of brilliance twice in a row.
They end up getting banged down with that last little shot there. It went down to about 300 HP is what I saw on that Elder Dragon last. Very close, up in the air there between the two junglers. See it one more time here, because this is, your heart has to be pounding.
This feels so risky.
On stage during this play.
Yeah, and everyone turns gold for a bit as well, so it's really good setup. They can communicate here, IMA.
200.
So close.
Yeah, it looks like an early smite there from a Voidless, just barely. And that prompted the reaction smite from Blank. Flash shot comes out, almost 2,000 damage to Bang to finish him off. And right here, IMA, they stick around for so long.
But this is great from Faker too. Make sure the auto is what is required to get the kill. Very clever stuff, knowing the limits of his champion.
You can just see the total amount of damage SKT can do now with a 4 Drake-empowered Elder Dragon buff. Won't be up for too much longer. In fact, it may just have dropped off. They did also get Baron in the replay there as well. So all the tools in the world now to close this game out. A monumentally huge gold lead. Although IMA at this point are kind of all built up. It'll just be execution here for SKT. But they've got such a big lead still in road. Wandering down, as always, might get himself sniped.
Speaking of execution,
Was he chime hunting?
Maybe. The chime greed always costs the VOD. But he does get out this time. These penguins running behind him. I mean, it's so scary as a bard to just be out there against this team comp. And SKT, they're going to run down bottom lane and try and break open another portion of the base.
Yeah, SKT, they definitely want to lock in the #1 seed from the group and join the other Korean teams atop their groups. Move on to the quarterfinals.
Athena sniped out by Faker's ultimate, forced to cleanse flash. Amazing J, busted Shepard, Rogue with a flank, finds Faker there with the ultimate, but Bang still kiting it away. Amazing J forced to flash and hook onto his own inhibitor, and Athena's getting chased down by an Olaf. He'll have to kite it out as Ragnarok wears off from the Olaf, but Bang in front there, almost snipes 2 people off the face of the rift. Does take out the inhibitor, SKT are just collapsing on now.
They're trying to end the game or at least push up with this Baron buffed up minion wave. It is absolutely huge.
Well, I may need a big play to try and pull this one out. The Nexus turret's exposed. They will fall down. And I may kind of out of ultimates to use. Juke leaps forward there onto Jinzhao. Ace in the hole get channel, but he gets buffed by the hammer. And SKT, with an exposed Nexus, will exhaust and take down Athena. Clean up what kills they can and secure #1 in their group.
Excellently played from SKT after a couple of mid-game hiccups. They were getting engaged on by IMA, but the composure enough to be able to do it over and over again. Stick to the strategy that you have and execute on that. Really well done from SKT.
We don't always see poke compositions all over the world because it's very risky to actually run. It takes a high level of mechanics and execution and also teamwork, because if you mess up once, that composition falls behind and it is almost all but over at that point. Whereas SKT, they have been looking on point today. They have been able to run those high damage compositions, and this group has not been able to deal with it.
And a great bit of drafting from IMA as well with the Nautilus to try and pick off what was a very 80 heavy comp, but so much credit to SKT for picking what looks like maybe a comp with a couple of key weaknesses that IMA look to exploit, and playing a comp that in sticky situations is very tricky. They did it once against Cloud9 already versus that Cannon and the Alistar. They did it again versus even more playmaking potential with the Bard, the Nautilus, and the Cassio, plus the Jhin. And they just make it look too easy. Like, I think Clement said it on the desk already. There is no other team that can play this style of League of Legends, and SK Telecom make it look like they've just been doing it forever.
Yeah, absolutely right. That was pretty incredible from them. Even not having Faker be the solo carry for the team, working around all of them individually as members, just winning lane is enough to set SKT up for success, it feels like. And it almost feels too easy when they do win lane.
Yeah, SKT, they get those early game advantages, and then those turrets went down, and they didn't give any to IMA. They pushed up to tier 2s, and it did take them a little bit to actually knock those down, especially that mid one. But when SKT got past that point, the base just crumbles, and they're able to take those outer objectives like the Baron, even though one was stolen away from them. Kind of put a little bit of a damper on it, but it would have been very clean elsewhere.
And I feel like you have to compliment IMA opposed to discrediting SKT for all of these big plays or perhaps mistakes, as you coin it, that happens for SKT. It was just engaging. The Nautilus would always hit these freak hooks or they'd get a really good flank. There was a lot of positives to actually note from IMA. On the flip side, whilst SKT were playing well, they were starting to step up to the occasion.
Well, a ton of chaos certainly from IMA, but not enough to topple SKT. We are going to go off to Shocks for a post-game chat with one of our newest quarterfinalists.
Thank you very much, Pastry. Indeed, with Bang after locking in first place with SKT in what was a close game. Very interesting team compositions on both sides. Bang, a lot of AD on your side, and then Nautilus and Kazakhs on the other side. What were the challenges of playing versus that IMA composition?
우선 조 1위로 8강 진출한 걸 축하드립니다. 다음 경기는 이제 매우 치열했는데요. 이제 SKT는 올 AD의 조합이었고 상대방은 카직스랑 노틸리스처럼 이번 때 처음 보는 픽들이 많았는데 경기하는데 어려움이 어떤 게 있었나요?
저희가 처음에 올 AD인 걸 알면서도 그냥 이제 상대 챔프들이 포킹에 좀 약할 것 같아서 준비한 대로 된 것 같아요.
So even though like we were all AD, we thought that their composition isn't good against our poking composition, so we thought that it would be okay, and the game went pretty well.
Well, you won in the end and locked in first place going into the quarterfinals as a first seed out of the group. Now that you've seen all the possible opponents play, who do you think will be your biggest opponent going into the rest of the tournament in the road to the Summoners Cup, and why?
지금까지 이제 어쨌든 모든 팀들의 경기를 다 2주 동안 지켜봤는데 SKT1 팀이 3연패를 이루기 위해서 소환사컵을 거머쥐기까지 가장 큰 걸림돌이 될 팀은 어디가 있을까요?
굳이 꼽자면 이제 작년에 저희랑 결승 무대에서 겨뤘던 락스 타이거즈 만나는 게 좀 가장 껄끄러울 것 같고요. 그냥 뭐 지금 사실 8강에 올라온 팀들이 전부 잘하는 팀이어서 다 껄끄러운데 이제 뭐 잘해야죠.
So I think, of course, the team that we fought against last year at finals, Rocks Tigers, they'd be the biggest threat to us to win the Summers Cup. And even for the quarterfinals, all 8 teams are very competitive. They're all really good. So I think it's going to be a very tough job.
All right, well, we will see what happens. First seed locked in here. Thank you very much. Dash, take it away.
Thank you very much, Shocks. Before we get into anything, we got to welcome Deficio back to the desk.
Do we really?
Well, maybe we don't, but I already did. So, but
Yeah,
what a game
you.
to come back to, am I right? We've got a Nautilus top and a Kazakhs jungle. How you feeling about that?
I don't really know how I feel about it. I mean, Crumbs and I, we went to the Church of Spawn. He tried to teach us about, LPL and IMA, and I will admit, I believed it at first, but now I realize he's actually just super crazy and he's just saying a lot of nonsense.
If you're going to try to beat SKT, you got to come out with some pepper jack, something a little different, and actually try to surprise them, which, to their credit, kind of worked, but honestly, they didn't execute it to the way that it should have.
Hey, and some of those mid-game team fights could have gone either way. Just
you were
unlucky
screaming like it went really well,
yeah,
and then the whole
I was hollered like a hooligan at some points, but I really respect the fact that I'm just going to go back to it. You're not going to beat this team playing standard if you are IMA. You do not have the raw talent on your roster to be able to take it to them. So what do? You play your style of League of Legends. Nautilus has always been a huge pick for this team, and it nearly worked.
That said, going through picks and bans here, having seen Kate and Karma locked in within the first 2 rotations, I have to question the Bard pickup for Road, because we saw how much trouble they had in that bot lane, even keeping their turret alive in the 2v2.
I mean, at this point, we even question if they should have even played Red. Whereas Athena and Baby combination, that worked well the first time around. But I didn't really have too big a deal with the Bard, because if you're, I guess, expecting a Varus, then you can easily deal with that with the likes of Bard.
I think the biggest thing is you have to look at players' tendencies, and Bard for Road is a big comfort pick, and this is a pressure game for him. And he also wants to, he has a small champion pool, so he wants to be on something he's comfortable against if you're playing against a duo lane. So was it a great pick? No. Can I understand why he locks it in? Sure.
Could you have played, other things like maybe Nami to try and get a stronger 2v2 bot lane? It could actually be a good choice, because IMA's problem in this game was they lost the bot lane so hard. Top lane was actually going well. Mid lane was doing fine. Bot lane, nope.
And that's the thing, right? We saw about a 4 to 5K gold lead established by 20 minutes for SKT, and at that point, your tankiness, can't necessarily keep up to the damage that's being built in straight AD. I mean, at 21 minutes, and I want to take a look at this fight, because it's the one fight that did kind of illustrate how IMA's comp could work, ending up 3 for 1.
Yeah, and they get a big catch here, and then the follow-up is just instant, and that's one thing I will credit IMA on. They don't hesitate, they layer their CC very well, and they're able to pick up a team fight. If the Kazakhs had a little bit more damage, if they were positioning slightly better in this fight,
if it was a
been
different
If Olaf was in the fight, Olaf was just running around the entire time, not even there at the beginning, so it's a lot easier to engage.
What are you talking about? Fake is dead.
Yeah, now he is. Before that, Fake also was chasing someone on the right side. So the problem with this IMA composition is that individual parts look pretty cool. Nautilus against full AD poke comp. Nice. That looks awesome, right? Bard against Pocom, you can engage with ulti. Great. Cassiopeia against a Pocom, it doesn't work. That's why SKT drafted a Pocom position against it, because they saw it so early. She had a hard time dealing damage. Jin sits back and fires the 4 shots. And let's talk about the last guy in this comp, the Kha'Zix.
Well,
Brilliant.
The way you want to
Let's
play
not talk
Kha'Zix-
about that. Let's
We
breeze
have
right
to
past
almost.
that one.
No,
I would have liked to see.
let's
I want to
talk
see a
about it.
mouth fight in the top lane or in the jungle.
Well, the reason you want to play Kha'Zix as a flanker, you want him to just be stealthing in and then surprising the opponent. But what ended up happening so many times, I may just charge straight on, and that's never going to work because it makes it disengage way too easy. And time again, we just saw Kha'Zix running straight ahead. And in one of those fights, that one in particular, if you pay attention, Kha'Zix actually contributed 0 to the fight. He did no damage whatsoever, hit nothing, didn't even put any sort of pressure. And that's just the theme of Kha'Zix as a champion right now. You just don't offer too much to your team.
And that's the key thing. He's not a team fighting pick. And you were picking Nautilus to start team fights. I wrote down a few champions that could have been better than Kha'Zix. I might need your help reading some of them. I got Skarner, Lee Sin, Rek'Sai, Wukong, Jarvan, Vi, Nocturne, AD Teemo, Hecarim, Udyr, AD Evelyn as well for the flank.
Yes.
All would
so
actually have done
literally
more
every AD champion that can jungle.
that I could think of and just write
I've
down.
seen you jungle Ash, though. So that
Fantastic.
could have been
Okay,
better,
yeah,
too.
That would
the
have more
last
value.
man. Y'all wait. All right, but no, I want to return to Spawn's point about SKT and the fact that you playing them standard, you're going to lose. Because we saw, even with what these curveballs that were thrown at them, they still were able to play a slow, a smart game, right? They waited for their opportunity, they found their fights, and this is where I want to push us forward to that 42-minute mark in Spawn. I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, and when you have a look at how they just set up around objectives as a team, the fact that they have very good vision control and they kite back as a unit, even though 4 of them get hit by a stun. I mean,
It actually is almost better for them.
yeah, the ability for this team to like just play as a unit, like a very, very disciplined, well-drilled team, and still execute on the micro in the game is why they are just so good.
Faker with the flash.
And it makes me wonder if SKT is just trying to have fun here and picking all these incredibly difficult compositions and just saying, how far can we push our limits here? Because nobody else is going to try to draft what we saw this game and the previous one and actually have such success with it.
Yeah, I think it's just super, super scary that when you play SKT, the only way you kind of beat them is in the early game if you can shut down Faker. But often you have to invest like 2 or 3 guys to do that, and you have to consistently do it and then make no mistakes after. That's how Flash Wolves beat them last week. But as we see now with SKT, whenever they do fine mid-game or in the early game, whenever Faker does not get shut down, they get into this mid to late game point where they run around as a group. Blank suddenly has no issues because he's with the team, and their team fights so well. They walk the flanks, they know exactly what to do. And that's why they are one of the absolute best teams in the world.
But it also requires your star player to be the mid laner. And unfortunately, for teams like IMA, that just is not the case. Athena or Bami is really never going to be able to challenge Faker consistently enough to play that style of game, which is why I think you really do struggle. And that's why I'm happy they threw the curve.
And while Faker is the star, the player of the game here is Bang for consistency. Because behind a star player, you need to have a consistent team that can support him.
And he kept getting targeted by the actual engages, but his use of QSS and being able to really put himself in the position where he's not going to be isolated by Kha'Zix, where he's not going to get one shot, which is quite difficult to do, to be honest, as a Kha'Zix, and just being able to dish out so much damage. And honestly, he just crushed the laning phase, Flame Horizon, the other AD carry, and is just never looking back.
I do think SKT have a bit of an easy time when it comes to the bot lane. In this group they're in here, C9 is not known for a strong bot lane, IMA is not known for a fantastic bot lane either, Flash Wolves is the same. So they don't actually get challenged early on. And I think we talk about, maybe camping Faker, shutting him down. If that is not an option, I can see the 2v2 bot lane go in favor of some of the other teams at Worlds, and that can actually give an advantage, unlike what we saw in this game.
Well, the first seed is secured by SKT, and the race for second is on. Worlds 2016 continues with IMA taking on Cloud9. 3.5 minutes.